Episode 58. You fucking piece of art, you. Introducing Boo Miller on the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. You know, I've got dreams of how I'd like to upgrade this and make this bigger. But at the moment, the iPhone's...
Well, if it suffices, I use my iPhone for all my tapes, and there's no point in like spending money on an expensive camera when it's it does a job. So
let's get into this then. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining me, Boo Miller, actress.
Yeah.
Yes. Actress, dancer.
I do dance, but I mainly say like I'm an actor who can dance if it's required for the for the role. I haven't been professionally trained in dance. I did some classes locally with the same dance tutor as Luna, actually, KBD Dance.
Okay.
And so I have experience in like contemporary and commercial, but less so in the ballet, the more like technical dancing side of things. So yeah, I always say I'm an actor who can dance rather than claiming that I'm a dancer, but I do love dancing very much.
What I like to do at the very beginning of these, I've got like this tradition or routine that's come up in these.
Oh yeah.
Do you know this?
Is it the clap?
Yeah, people and like I was almost like, let's just get into the conversation. But then I did one of these the other night with a friend, and he was like, we haven't done the clap. I was like, oh, sorry.
I can't believe you feel robbed of the clap.
So people are getting upset if we don't do the clap. So I think everyone knows the reason for the clap is because I can't afford a clapperboard.
This is more organic anyway.
Exactly. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, clap.
Okay,
1, 2, 3. Sweet.
That
was nice and in sync. So so now it begins.
Great.
Now the podcast begins. So what's happening in your life at the moment then?
At the moment, I'm very kind of interested in improv.
Nice.
I kind of have an interest in comedy in particular, doing comedy acting. And then I think about 2 years ago, my mum's best friend, she had a spare ticket to go and see Ostentatious at the West End.
Okay.
And I came along not really knowing what it was going to be about. And I was just absolutely blown away by
I'm going to sound really dumb now. I don't know Ostentatious.
So Ostentatious, it's a long-form improv show. And they essentially get a title from the audience. They, kind of had this monologue at the beginning where one member of the cast comes on stage and chats with the audience, gets them warmed up. But it's all in the style of Jane Austen novels. And so you get maybe 2 pitches from the audience about titles for the show. And then the third one is always the one that they pick. And they just have the title and then they just go and improvise a whole play. And I don't think I've ever laughed more. I've gone to see it 3 times now because
it's a different experience.
Yeah, it's different every single time. Wow. So the first time I went with my mum's best friend, then I went with my partner, and then I went with my partner and his sister and his sister's partner. And it was just so inspiring to see how they can just make it up, and it was so eloquent and so tangible, and everything was hilarious. And I was like, I want to be able to do that. But it did feel a little bit out of reach because I'd had some when you're an actor, you do improv-y stuff anyway, playing improv games and stuff. But I didn't really know like the technical side of it and the technicalities behind it and how you can, follow some kind of sets of rules to make improv come to life. So I started studying with Hoopla Improv.
Okay.
Last year, and the thing I love about Hoopla is they let you come on no matter what level you're at. They're not one of these schools that you have to start from the bottom and they rinse you of all your money.
Is it a little bit like Lambda? Hoopla?
No, I'd say it's so that they have. I don't know. I think they have 4 levels officially, and the first one's like basic, very short form improv. I think the second one is like touching on characters and how to structure a scene. Then the third course is about scene study. So that's where I started because I kind of thought I have some knowledge about the rest of it. So I emailed Hoopla and just asked where I would kind of slot in. And went along to that class, and it was like an 8-week course. And then at the end of the course, you get to do a show. in front of
Right.
an audience. That was terrifying. But I didn't think I was going to make the show because I was on a job. And I literally like ran all the way from West to East London to get to this improv show. And I made it on for the second half, which was when my group was going on, because we get split in half as a class. And it was just so fun. And then, so the one I've been doing at the moment is long form. So they're long forms, they're level 4. And I've got my show next week. So that's what I'm up to.
So where would
the
this show
moment.
be?
The show's at the Miller. And it's a really lovely venue that I think Hoopla have ownership of. It's like a pub, basically. And the top level of it is just a little theatre.
Nice.
And so that's where I did my level 3 show. It's where I'm doing the show next week. And then I actually auditioned to be part of a house team for Hoopla on Monday this week. And I got my email last night at 10 p.m. to say I made it onto one of the house teams.
Oh, congratulations. So what does that mean for you then?
So we're in a team called Newbies, where they kind of give auditions for, I think there was like 20 of us in our group, and there were about 4 groups. And then they cast 16 people in each house team. So it essentially means that you get the opportunity to perform improv fortnightly at the Miller, and you kind of get a rehearsal. I think rehearsals are like 4 till 6, and then you do the show at 7, which I just feel so grateful to have. You know when you make your hobby your job?
Yes, yeah.
And then it's still fun and you still love it, but there's
a different
element
feeling, yeah.
of dread for like, oh, what if I don't get an acting job? So I feel like I've really discovered a new hobby within acting again through improv, because it's still acting and it's still connected in some way, but it is just something new that I've discovered in the last 2 years, and I've just fallen in love with it.
As an actor as well, I was so fearful of improvisation for a very long time. It is. I think it all depends on kind of where you've been brought up as an actor, and a lot of people come up through maybe drama groups, through theatre schools where it's all very structured.
Yeah.
And then so when you come away from that structure, and even as you go into like TV and film, as you go into other theatre things, most things you do are going to be quite structured. And so the more you're doing that, to go outside of that and to be up on the stage and to be free.
Yeah.
Is scary, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you done much improv before?
I've done a little bit. I've been to a drama class and done some improvisation. And as a director, I very much try and pull the improvisation out of people. I try and go to that place of freedom.
Yeah. Well, this has also been really beneficial for that, because if you're in an audition and someone's like, improv, if you asked me to do that 2 years ago, I would have been like, okay, but I'm scared. And now I do feel like I'm a lot more comfortable.
As a director, I want to see that an actor can play.
Yeah.
And not just follow the script. I want to see that they're going to bring something to the part.
Yeah.
And I think improvisation shows that. Improvisation, being able to immerse yourself and being free in the moment is a skill, isn't it?
It is. I think when you're able to improv around a script as well, that's like a completely different skill. I did a job, when did we film? I think we filmed in 2022. And the director's style was, we're going to do it word perfect, and then you are going to go completely whatever you want. And we did this for every single scene. And because I hadn't done my improv training by that point, I found myself like the night before, because I actually had a friend who'd done it, and his shoot day was a couple of days before mine, and he gave me some really good advice and was like, just so you know, you're going to get asked to improv. So I sat in front of my hotel mirror and I was like practicing what I was going to say if, or when we did these improvisations. And it was fine in the moment, but I feel like looking back on it, when you prep for improv, that's when you go wrong. Yes. It really is. Yeah. It's like...
Because that's the whole point. It's about being free in the moment.
Yeah.
It's not about, I've pre-planned this to say, or this joke, or try and... It's a different space in your mind, I think, what it is. I think it's a different... Rather than... When I'm an actor... It's almost like I have files in my mind, and I open up the files at certain times. I go down a certain road, but it's a different place in the mind. Improv. It's just being free, and it's having confidence in yourself that you know where you are. Maybe safety in the people that you're around as well.
Yeah, it's scary when you have to improv with people you've never improv before. That's why I found the audition on Monday quite difficult. But I love control, don't we all?
Yeah.
And I like knowing what's going to happen in my life. And I feel like improv really does take me out of my comfort zone in a good way, because it's you do just have to do whatever is at the top of your head and know that you're around people that are going to forgive you if you make a mistake, and everyone is going to make mistakes. And one of the like key rules or recommendations for improv is like you're trying to make everyone else look good. And in doing so, you're creating, it's not, improv isn't just about you, it's about the scene. And if you're setting someone up for jokes, then you know that you're going to get that reciprocated, and you know that if you come on and you pretend to be a sentient octopus, that someone's going to go, yeah, I'll do that with you.
This workshop that I went to for improv, the very first time I went there, the guy running it was just like, this is a safe space, this is a safe environment, you are going to be cared for, everyone in this room is going to look after you. And that's what I found was kind of key to it, knowing that it's kind of more about the giving. Yeah. That you're giving to others, you're giving to the other performers on the stage. And if they do look lost, you'll pick them up and you'll bring them back in. And
that's why it was weird doing improv in an audition scenario, because you've got to find this balance of showing the panel that you can support, but at the same time finding the right moment to shine and do your thing. It's like I'm not a wordsmith particularly. I'm not very quick with that kind of thing, but my thing is just physical comedy. So it's really nice to be able to be with a group of people and show, oh look, I can be in this scene and make it a funny scene, but then someone else will support me. If I think I ended up coming on as a hellhound and speaking in this like devilish. It's so silly when you talk about improv without any context, because you could literally come and do anything, and it's so crazy.
So tell me a little bit more about that audition. What does an audition look like where you're asked to... Did you know in advance that improv would be asked of you?
Yeah, it was just improv audition. And so I applied, and it was to be part of the house teams for Hoopla, this one. So the structure of it was you get 3 opportunities to perform. You get a short form, very short form scene, and then you get a slightly longer scene, and then you get like a genre. And so we had soap opera, but then someone gives you a title as well. So I think it was like soap opera in a hellish fairground or something. So yeah, you do get opportunities to improv, but you know, that's only three times that you get to get up there and show what you can do. It's really difficult trying to be succinct and clear about what your style is. And but yeah, I'm glad it went the way that it did.
And now you're part of the house team.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So how long will that last for then?
So September into December, fortnightly, but I think we start in the middle of September and end maybe like 2 weeks before Christmas.
So you've got a year you've got the rest of this year kind of mapped out a bit.
I guess so.
Which is a really privileged place to be as an actor, isn't it?
I mean, it's an unpaid...
Privileged, lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I feel grateful to have the opportunity to just be on stage. But it's unpaid, but that doesn't matter to me, because this feels like I've only just invested in my training for this. So to be able to reap financially from it, I always give it like 3, 4, 5 years. But actually saying that, I did my first improv job on camera last year, which was very terrifying, because I've only improved on stage up until that point. And the director was literally like, we had a Zoom call and we discussed what the premise of the scene was going to be. But it was promoting a Netflix show, and I got to improv with 2 drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't know how like dirty we can be on it.
Yeah. This is for adults.
Okay, fine.
This
okay,
channel.
so it was promoting sex education.
Okay.
And the whole premise...
Sex education is in the programme.
Yeah, the programme.
Yes, yeah.
And the whole premise is that these drag queens were being trained to be sex therapists, like in the show. And so we knew beforehand that what my problems were going to be. So we discussed over a Zoom call 3 kind of problems that could be hilarious to bring to a sexual health setting. One of them was like... my partner is making horrible noises and it's really just putting me off in the bedroom. The other one was about having a really bad gag reflex, because that's in the show as well. And then the one that we ended up landing on was that I've been using my clit sucker so much that I can't come anymore. So we knew that this was the premise. But when we got there, I just had no idea how improv would work on camera. I thought we'd go back and do pickups, like once we'd finished rolling. None of that. It was just action, go, half an hour recording, cut, you're done, you have no control. And it's when you're improving on stage, it disappears. It goes into the ether.
Yes,
it's in someone's memory, but like to have that recorded and you know that
cemented.
And it was they'd done a couple of these, you know, formats before to promote other Netflix shows. And I thought, oh no, this is going to go semi-viral, if anything. At least I think it's got like 500,000 views at the moment on YouTube.
That's enough people to hear you talk about.
I know. I was like,
sex education.
I was like, this is going to be heard about. So I really did not want to.
And friends and family are going to see things like that. So within acting, there is a huge vulnerability that you have to give. How does that feel? Giving that you've allowed yourself to be expressive and creative, and some people may judge you for that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting being an actor and being a people pleaser, because you have this dichotomy of I need to let go, I need to not care about what anyone thinks about me, I need to be truthful to this character. And then at the same time, like I've very much from a young age, I'm working through this and always will be working through this, but I've always wanted as many people to like me as possible.
Of course.
And it's not possible. But I've found something really useful recently, which is instead of doing affirmations, I do ladder thoughts. So have you ever heard of ladder thoughts before? No. So it's like if you were standing in a mirror and you said to yourself, I'm a Martian, I'm from Mars. You're not going to believe it because you are not a Martian and you're never going to believe it. So if you change that affirmation to a neutral thought that you can believe, I use like the body image thing because I think it's useful and it's quite transferable. But if you're someone that struggles with like body image issues, you can, instead of looking in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, I am gorgeous, I'm sexy, whatever, you know, and your negative thought is, I'm disgusting, nobody loves me. The neutral thought that you absolutely can believe is that is a human leg or that is a human tummy. And that's where you start. And you just say that to yourself in the mirror for however long it takes until you're like, okay, I could start laddering this up to the positive thoughts. And the next step could be, that's a human face that somebody might find attractive. Like you can believe that. And then you can apply that to any kind of thinking.
So it's like taking micro steps towards a better way of thinking.
Yeah.
Rather than I am amazing, I am great.
I've always struggled with affirmations because it doesn't feel like it works for some people, because sometimes when people say that and they do actually believe those statements, of course it's going to have an emotional effect on you. And you know affirmations work for you if you notice a change within yourself. But if you're saying affirmations and you're like, this is not working for me, I've found ladder thoughts very useful. Can I plug another podcast about?
Of course you can.
Very exciting. So I listen to Rebecca Orr Coaching, and she has a podcast called Manage Your Relationship Mind Drama, which applies these ladder thoughts to a relationship setting. But I also listen to Unfuck Your Brain by Cara Lowenthal, and she also talks about ladder thoughts, but in a more business setting, which you can apply to pretty much any kind of career, which I find really useful for acting and stuff. But yeah, when you say about vulnerability, I really feel like half of my process is getting myself to a place where I feel like I have not got imposter syndrome, and I believe that I should be there. So, you know, when I'm doing a job and I've got to be in a really vulnerable place, the first thing I check in with is my brain. For some people, that's not where they go first. It might be their body or their voice. Immediately, it's my brain. I've got to sort that out first, otherwise everything else will just fall apart.
And so you go to the ladder thoughts.
Yeah, ladder thoughts, and just unpacking every thought, because, sometimes I do analyse my thoughts a little bit too much.
No.
It's getting to a place of I am here because somebody cast me because they liked my tape, because they believe I can bring this character to life. And, saying I'm with a group of people that want to make this project the best that it can be. Therefore, my vulnerability is going to be valued in this scenario. And just getting yourself to a place where you know that you can be vulnerable, because everyone here has a shared goal, has a shared aim. It's not that I'm being vulnerable and I'm not going to be looked after, but also, to some respect, you can be on a job and you're not going to get looked after, like, emotionally, in that sense. So you've got to find ways that you can be there for yourself, and ways that you can look after yourself. If you're in like a bad way on set, that I can show up for myself. I trust that I'm going to look at my brain and myself from a place of curiosity, because I feel like a lot of the time when people are in a bad way, then they immediately get judgmental themselves and go to, oh, why am I like this? Why is my brain doing this? Rather than going, it's okay, I have compassion for you, and it's going to be all right if you just take a breath, just feel what you're feeling, and we can, just look at it from a different angle or a different lens. But yeah, I found that very useful.
And you do have to look after yourself as you go into a professional job. I think there's would you say that, well, what would you say? Would you say there's a preconceived idea of what it's going to be like on a film set or a TV set, or if you're in a theatre production, that it's going to be all glitz and glam and everything's going to be shiny and perfect?
Well, I think it is so varied, because, like, obviously, if you're doing an unpaid short film, but I say this, one of my favourite jobs that I did last year was unpaid, and it's because I did an R&D with some women about 2 years prior, and I just knew that we had, like, such a lovely connection, and the way that we worked together worked really well. And when we were on set, it wasn't glitz and glam. I have one of those, like, pop-up stools that I'd borrowed from my partner that you can, like, it was muddy, it was freezing cold, but I always say, if the director is, like, warm and, just wants you all to have a nice time, then that filters down through every department. And if you're on a place where there's tension, and, like, we all have bad days, but I honestly feel like the most nurtured I feel on set is when I feel emotionally nurtured rather than physically nurtured. Like, I don't care if I've got a trailer to sit in or if I have to sit on the ground. Like, if I feel like the people there really, want me to be there, and I feel like there's a real connection that we have and we're making something amazing, it doesn't matter to me.
I guess it's the community of the production that you're working on. What does that feel like? Is that a space you want to be in?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've been in some independent films where that environment hasn't felt good at all. And you wake up every day and you're like, is this really what I want to be doing? Especially
when it's like a smaller budget thing.
Smaller budget, and like you say, on a lot of work that you'll do as an actor is unpaid.
Yeah.
The majority, I'd say, the majority of my past 20 years' experience has been unpaid work. And then you're getting up and creating this thing with a group of people, and there's tension over something that's got nothing to do with you, but it's just the vibe isn't right.
I have found more than often that unpaid stuff is the stuff with the better vibes, actually.
Yes,
the more, but that's obviously a general sweeping statement. But it's interesting how it does affect the mood of how you work, because it's a machine. You're all working together, and no department is more important than the other, because if we didn't have one of them, then it just wouldn't work.
The rest falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we've talked a few times about paid and unpaid work as an actor. What value do we put on paid? Why do we feel we have to justify whether a job that we did was paid?
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that, actually. And I always tend to preface when I'm talking about a job whether it's paid or unpaid.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know why.
Because you probably put the same effort in. You probably put the same care and attention into it.
Yeah.
But yet, I feel like it's going out into society and saying, I did this as a job.
Yeah.
I'm contributing in some way because I got paid.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's going, okay, I am getting paid for my work now, but I still do unpaid work. And I feel like I went through a phase about 4 years ago where I was like, that's it. I'm not doing any more unpaid work. I'm not doing it. And then I was like, check yourself, Boo, like, what are you doing? Because some of the scripts that you've read are being written by people who don't have budgets. But if you're, what kind of opportunities am I blocking myself from when I have a mindset like that? I'm really glad I got out of that. Because
it's even Josh Brolin. I was watching an interview with him the other day. He played Thanos in Avengers and lots of, he's a very big actor, Josh Brolin. But when he did No Country for Old Men, he didn't get paid a penny.
What?
Not a penny, because it was an opportunity to him.
I did not know that.
And it was a low budget. It was still quite a big Hollywood film, but the budget was still quite tight, and they'd spent most of the budget on the other actors, and this part became available, but was told basically, it's unpaid. Do you want to do it as an opportunity? And at that time, he was living in his car, and broke, and he did that. And if he hadn't have done that, then he wouldn't have got all the subsequent films that followed.
It's that credit that's...
Yeah, so he gave up 6 months of his time to do a part that led to other things.
Yeah.
And even and he's connected. He's someone that his stepmom is Barbara Streisand, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so he's someone that's fully connected and immersed in the industry through family. Mm-hmm. But he still had to take opportunities where they come up. So people that are not connected, people that haven't got a foot in the door, we definitely have to go, why do I want to do this project? Is it to do with the money? Because we all need money, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
we have to pay rent, we have to eat, we want cars and holidays and all of that stuff. But what value are we putting on our art?
Exactly. I think you can't really put a value on art because it just makes no sense to me. The work that I got paid most for last year was the work that I hated the most. I'm not going to say what job it was, obviously, but it was for a commercial, and it just felt very clinical and capitalist, and I was just like, I hate this. But
and that tends to be what commercials are.
Yeah.
And that's the side of acting that we do. That's one of the jobs that does pay.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, I feel so grateful to have been in an opportunity where I can get paid to do what I love. But at the same time, I came back from it and I was like, I'm allowed to give myself space to acknowledge that I didn't particularly enjoy that, because then I can take that for the future and go, okay, I don't necessarily want to do any presenting orientated jobs. But, just I think in this career and just in life in general, black and white thinking is restrictive, and allowing yourself to feel everything is really important.
Feeling your way through and discovering who you are as an actor. Because I think there's an expectation as an actor can do all of it. If you're an actor, you can sing as well, you can dance as well, you can be a stand-up comedian as well, you can be a presenter as well. Well,
this is one of the things that I had to decide what I was doing very early on. I remember my previous agent, he said to me, I know you can act and you can dance and I can sing. I have this thing with singing though, where if I'm playing a character I can sing fine, it's a confidence issue, but if you ask me to do karaoke, no chance. But he said to me, what do you really want to focus on? Because you can come into this as a triple threat, but just know that once you're building up your credits, you're going to have to really focus on being like a more musical theatre orientated performer. So I was like, okay, I know I want to be an actor, and I started to get some comedy roles, and then I was like, okay, it's difficult because as actors, we are versatile. It's the nature of the job. But when we're first starting out or trying to build up our credits, what can be beneficial is pigeonholing yourself to an extent to get the credits that you the bigger credits that will benefit your CV and jobs in the future. And then you can do the versatile, hey, look at me experimenting with this character on more lower paid stuff, or, because it just feels like those opportunities are potentially, they come along a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to, so I've lost my point.
That's the journey of the reason why we structure what we're choosing and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. So you're in a point of your career where you're a fully working actor seeking acting work.
Yeah.
You're fully committed to that at this point in your life.
Yeah,
Is that right? That's what I look at you and I see. I had a look at your spotlight and what you're doing, and you are building those good credits up there. You're presenting yourself as an actor, and that's the impression that you give. That's the direction and the drive.
That's why when I said at the beginning, I'm like, I'm an actor who can dance. It's like I'm a good dancer. I can dance, but it's about being focused and, from a business perspective, going, this is my product, this is how I'm going to market it, and this is what I'm going to show to the world. But at the same time, allowing your personality and your hobbies and your special flair to combine with this package that you've got, because you are your brand. So I think it's really interesting to think about it that way. And also find that thinking about my career in from a business perspective removes a lot of the pain and anguish of, I'm rejected, because, we all really struggle with rejection at the beginning. And I think, now and again, I do still struggle with rejection, because when you're doing a part, you fully immerse yourself in that character and you imagine yourself being that character. And then if you don't get the job, you have to leave it. But I've started allowing myself now one day I'm allowed to be sad, and I really allow myself to be sad about it, and then I let it go. I'm not allowed to think about it again.
It is hard, especially if you get, I feel for me, I can go to one audition or do a self-tape and not think too much of it past that. But it gets harder when you know that there's a consideration on you. It gets hard, for me, when you start going to that callback or that read-through, or... this isn't acting, but one of the last big auditions that I did just pre-COVID, I did an audition for The Apprentice.
Fun.
No.
Oh, really? No.
No, it was not fun at all.
What was the audition process like for that?
So first of all, I always saw myself as an actor, but also I've done like quite a few entrepreneurial type things, I've set up a few businesses over the years, and I've always seen myself as a bit of an entrepreneur, and I'll try things out and give things a go, and I'm always coming up with ideas. And I thought, I've got a fantastic business idea that would just rock it on The Apprentice. And I've watched it every year and been like, I could do so much better than these guys with what I do. And I was going to start up my own theatre company with The Apprentice and use that as like a launch pad. And it started out, the first stage is filling out the application form. And the application form is quite intense because it wants you to fill out a full business plan. Have you ever watched it?
I have watched The Apprentice. I used to watch it with my mum.
Yeah, so you know that staged quite near to the end where they sit them down and they go through their business plan.
Yeah, with is it final 3 or so?
The final that's you see how unfair that is if you've been in the process.
Right.
Because you do that before you've even stepped in the room.
Yeah.
You do that at home like the day before you're going to the audition. So you're really just like throwing your thoughts onto a page. And there isn't the time to really, you haven't got like 6 months to work on this. It is the night before that you're putting this business plan together. And then you take the business plan there. There's one, you queue up. I think the day that I went there was like 1,000 people there.
How long ago was this?
This was the year before COVID. Okay. And the season that I was auditioning for got cancelled.
Oh, I see.
For COVID.
Yeah.
So there was kind of like, that kind of softened the blow how I felt. But yeah, I went to this audition this day and queued up, and they did things like they'd had a quick look at our thing, and they'd look at us and they'd put us in a line and they'd go, right, you stand at that end if you think you're going to win The Apprentice, and the ones that think they're going to lose The Apprentice stand at that end.
Oh, that is brutal.
And so everyone's having like a look at each other, and no one knows. We haven't spoken to it, so we're just purely going on look, and a very brief introduction. And then the ones that were like, some people were like hiding in the middle and things. And then you had some people on the ends, and the ones that were in the middle, they went, all right, see you later, bye, you're gone.
This is like The Traitors. Have you seen The Traitors?
It is very, because I saw this on the
game.
I saw The Traitors recently. I've only just recently started watching that, and I saw that bit, and I was like, that's what they did
Apprentice.
I bet you it's the same production company,
BBC.
and they've gone, right, we're going to take the bit we do on the audition, and we're going to show people.
Let's give them some trauma.
It is, and then you see people just like, what the fuck did I do wrong?
That's so brutal.
And then so I got through that stage, because I obviously was like confident and was like, yeah, I'm going to win this. Yeah. So I got through that stage.
Just out of curiosity, where did you stand?
I stood towards the end, towards where I was like, yeah, I can be one of the winners. I know this program.
Yeah.
I know how to play this. I'm gonna win this. I've come here for a reason, you know. And then the next stage was go into a room and be like put on the spot and be interviewed, and some really, really random questions that weren't anything to do. It was almost like, how far can I embarrass myself?
Oh no.
And it was improvisation stuff as well, which at the time I wasn't keen on. And it was essentially like, how much prepared are you? Yeah, can you embarrass yourself? And I got through that bit.
Oh, one of the questions was, can you embarrass yourself?
No, it wasn't a question, can you embarrass yourself? It was kind of like, it was questions more about my personality.
Right.
And what do I think of the other people in the room? And do I fancy anyone in the room? And things like that.
This sounds insane.
Yeah. And then again, I see that they take those bits and they show some of those bits on TV, don't they? And I'm just there the whole time thinking, they're just manipulating people and using people.
They're looking for that bit of drama that they can use. If you've
That
written
is
down,
it.
I fancy someone, you've got a better chance.
You've got a bit of drama.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like, how much drama are you going to bring to this? Not, are you a valued business person?
Yeah.
And you can completely see that in the show with how many losers they get on. Do you know, when I say losers, I mean people that are clueless.
Right, I see.
Do you know, like the people on the show, like they just haven't got a clue about business. But you forget it's entertainment, you know?
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long, long while, so I don't think I could give like a
valued,
structured
you
opinion.
do get some people that are good, but you can see why people have been picked. It's just for that drama.
Yeah.
And anyway, I went away that day and got a call back to come back to another day. So I'm like, yes, I'm doing
right,
this.
Yeah.
And then went back for another day, and they put us in like these groups of like 10 people to do like this task of building a house out of these shapes, like these big foam shapes. And I could tell that the room was just full of personalities.
Right,
like how loud and big can I be? And I got sent home like quite early on, like 15 minutes into the day, because I feel like it's because I wasn't being loud, and I felt like a personality assassination had gone on.
Yeah.
Like it really did.
That sounds very invasive anyway.
And I came away and I was walking through London, and I remember it just chucking it down with rain, just like, you know, when it's just hammering it down.
Pathetic fallacy.
Yeah, and I'm wearing a suit. I did myself up. I was pumped that day as well. Like I've been listening to Eminem on the train, like one shot, like all the way on the train, and just coming away like that thing has gone.
Yeah.
That I could see a future. I could see a path that I was going down, and just
taken from you.
Gone in an instant. I'm not good enough. And that's what I came away. I was like, I'm not good enough. Like, shit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, it was nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I just wasn't right for them.
Yeah, they're just looking for a formula or a certain,
certain type.
Quite often it's nothing to do with you.
No.
But it's very difficult, because in that scenario it kind of is about you, but you're still a valuable human being.
Yes, and that's what I felt like. And it was the rain as well that was hammering down.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was just like, that was like a moment I'll bring up in my book.
Yeah. Have you written a book?
No, when I write a book,
good,
when I get to the end, my biography, when I look back, I'll be like, that was definitely a making of moment. But then, like, a few months later, COVID happened
Yeah.
and everything was shut. The world stopped anyway. So even if I had have gone further on that path,
Yeah.
I think it would have never happened.
Yeah, I always try and think that everything that's meant for you will come to you. And
Definitely.
if you have imagined yourself in this incredible opportunity that you really wanted and you see somebody else get it, it's so easy to just look at them and be like, what do they have that I don't? But it takes time to, sit in yourself and know I am valuable in myself. And it just wasn't the right time. It could have been that I was the wrong height or the wrong, I might have said a word in a funny way. You just don't know. And trying to agonize it.
They may have chosen the person earlier on that day already before you walked in the room.
Yeah, or you might look like their ex or something, you know what I mean? And they might just get a funny vibe from you. But you've only got, sometimes 10, 15 minutes to put yourself on a plate in front of someone and say, do you want what I have to offer? And if you sit there afterwards and try and pick apart what went wrong, then it's just going to agonize yourself. I remember calling my agent after an audition last year. And I was like, Andre, that's the worst audition I've ever done in my entire life. I'm not going to get this job. And I was just disappointed in myself because I thought that I'd actually behaved badly in the room, not just like performed badly, but I thought my behavior wasn't necessarily something that I would be proud of. And I was like, that's not going to happen. And then he called me the next day. I was like, you got a call back. And then I ended up booking it as a COVID cover, but I got flown out to Sofia in Bulgaria to stay in a hotel for 3 days. And then they did a COVID test on the main person. They were like, okay, boo, you can go home because she's not got COVID. So I got a little free holiday for the worst audition of my life. But you'll never know.
You never know where these opportunities are going to go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we're willing to find out, where did this kind of path start for you before you started out on this career? Why have you got into this?
So my parents used to do Amdram when they were younger. I think you actually know my parents.
I know.
Yeah,
your
Laura and
mum,
Stuart. Do you know my dad as well?
I know. I don't know your dad. I know of your dad.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of mutual friends.
Yeah, but my mum said in the car on the way here, she was like, I used to teach Laura.
She used to teach my sister at school. And was it one of my first plays that I was in very early on of doing like Playhouse Young People's Theatre. She was a stage. Your mum was a stage manager.
Was this at West
Side Story? Yes, yeah. So that was like in my early days.
Yeah, but anyway, they used to do that when they were younger, but they weren't like pushy parents. And also they divorced when I was 6, so it was kind of this thing of like the finances were split and they didn't put me in any classes. I kind of like, they did put me in a ballet class when I was like 3 and I screamed and cried and like didn't want to be there. But then when I got to secondary school, I think actually it was the year 6 play. I did the year 6 play and I played Cinderella, and it was the first thing I'd ever like kind of done. Actually, that's a lie. I did do like a bit of the Playhouse when I was younger, but it was like a cameo role in Once on This Island.
So you had these parents who had they had the arts within them. Because your mum's a drama teacher, isn't she?
Yeah, well, she's retired now, but she used to be. She was head of drama and dance at local secondary school.
So you saw that as that was a kind of a way of living,
but also like I didn't really see that because my mum and dad were separated. I had this kind of like fantasizing dream story about how they met when they were doing Grease, and my mum was playing Sandy and my dad was playing Danny, and I'd fantasized about that like my whole life, and it seemed very romantic to me. And actually last Christmas my mum got me the most amazing Christmas present. She found the VHS tape up in the loft and got it transferred to USB, and me and my brother, well, not so much my brother, but I literally sat there, watched the whole thing and sobbed. I was just like, this is our origin story, Max. This is crazy. But that, I think, I saw my mum's plays when she was doing plays at secondary school and was just fascinated because, even though they were the secondary school plays, if it's one of the first bits of theatre that you've really seen, it's just magic. And she used to come up with like insane, crazy stuff, but so beautiful because she used to dream about it and then just put it on the stage. So I feel like they inspired me, like very indirectly. And then when I got to secondary school is when I went to Livewire, which was like a local community free thing at the time, which was great because mum didn't have to pay for anything. I think it was nice to establish that I really liked it first before having to go somewhere
To
and
invest,
pay in full.
Yeah.
So
And it's
that
a
was really
wonderful thing
beneficial.
that Livewire do, that they open up drama to kids and
Yeah.
families and that may not be able to afford it.
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't gone to Livewire,
I've actually
I don't
got
know.
Sam, who runs Livewire. He's coming on in a few episodes
Stop
time.
it. Hi,
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very fun.
Yeah.
That's very
No,
fun.
I do think what he does is an amazing thing,
Yeah.
that he opens up drama to everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
'cause-
we used to do our Livewire shows here.
Mm.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah.
Miss those days.
So what is it, you say your mum and dad was an inspiration. What is it they did that inspired you then?
I think just seeing my mum be very creative at work, and she's just put in so many extra hours. And, you know, my dad, I didn't really see him do any drama until we did Annie, and he went along, and I think he wanted to get the part of Rooster. I ended up getting Daddy Warbucks, and he was absolutely pooping his pants. He was so scared because he obviously hadn't performed in a very long time. And because I hadn't really seen him do much, he did that, and I was like, oh, wow.
Who are
That's
you?
really cool.
Yeah.
And then I came to see him. He did Jerusalem here.
Yeah, I
and I
remember that.
cried. I was like, oh, wow. Because, you know, when you're very passionate about something, and I have this like passion for drama and acting and performing arts, and I know where it comes from, but to see it in action was like, oh, I think it's nice because they weren't like pushy parents. You must go, you must do this, you will follow in our footsteps. If anything, because they didn't pursue acting like professionally, obviously my mum did teaching at secondary, but she was a primary school teacher first. So because they didn't do that, I just had like such overwhelming support from them. It was, my mum used to say, no plan B. No plan B. Do your A level, just go for it. And I honestly, like, I'm so grateful for that, because it put me in a position, you know, we've not come from a very good financial background, but that stable, like, I'm here to support you is invaluable. So
It sounds like it gave you a solid foundation.
yeah, for sure. And also, like, knowing that someone really believes in you is a privilege, because I know a lot of people, you know, who don't have that support from their parents, or their parents want them to go into a more academic career, and it must be so hard feeling like you can't do what you love.
You can't be you.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. I heard that. So my daughter's into music. She's like music is her life. Music has changed her life. She's found who she is within that, and I'm so happy about that.
How old is she?
She's 15. And she plays a guitar, and she's in a band, and she's just like, her life is going to be music now, like, and that's wonderful. But she's got a friend at school that very much wants to be a drummer, but yeah, the parents are like, no, you don't do that. You do science. You do maths. And that kid's not going to get that opportunity to be themselves. I think going back to that thing of valuing the money is, I think too many people go, right, there's no career for you in that, or if there is a career, it's going to be very, very difficult or hard. Whereas you need that. I guess it's the hope that you can have stability in your life through doing a normal job. My
partner's dad, he used to be a drummer in a local band. They used to play at the Square, Reel by Reel.
Okay.
I don't know the band, but anyway. And he was amazing, and they probably would have gone on to be very successful, but you know, he ended up not doing that, and he went into accounting. But then the other day I was around my partner's house, and you know, my partner's dad started playing their old records, and I was just like, this is, I just love seeing the side of people that you never get to see. It's beautiful. I got a little bit emotional, actually. I didn't tell Tim, but he'll know now.
He'll know now if he watches it. But yeah, and I think it's really important that there are more than one side to us.
Yeah.
That maybe we don't make it to stardom and fame, but yet it's still part of us.
Yeah, it's what I think about my improv class. Like when I did my level 3 course, I was the only actor there, but everyone else kind of had non-creative jobs. And then they came to this improv class, and I was blown away. And I thought, well, you could do this as a career. about a lot of them, and it's just fascinating. Like, there is so much creative potential in the world, and it really makes me very happy to just see those glimpses everywhere you look. Yeah.
And I'm seeing that we're doing this podcast as well, talking to all these different people in all these different creative lives, and I'm just seeing how much value it brings to people, and how and that value is valued, and is important
in so many deep and complex ways. Yeah,
and I worry that society wants to kind of drag it out of people and to crush it.
Yeah, especially with funding and schools and things.
How do you feel about that? Recently there was a thing, I think it was Suffolk County Council. They've just like completely cut all arts funding 100%.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Our life is so much about creativity, and being alive is about, you're a piece of art. I wrote a poem actually last year about how you could walk out of the house and someone could write a poem about you. Because I wrote a poem about this woman that I was sat next to on the train. And
do you remember it?
I've got it on my phone.
Have you?
Yeah.
Will you share it?
Yeah, I will. Should I stop?
Yeah. Let's pause
my
for a moment.
My phone's over there. Pause.
Yeah, we'll pause for a moment. I'd love to hear it.
But I'll talk about this when I get back.
Okay, let's have a pause. Yeah. Careful of the wire. Rating?
I don't know. Okay, yeah.
Well, how is this an examination now?
No, as in like it's not
a grade A.
I'm not sure if it's rated PG.
Okay. I thought you meant like.
Okay. Right. Let me put my phone on. It's on sleep.
Well, we've given them. If anyone's listening,
right. Listen. Turn off if you don't want to hear anything.
If you're easily offended.
Yeah. Well, I'm very open about that kind of thing anyway. So it might be on my Instagram actually.
It's also interesting. Going back to my daughter.
Yeah.
I've always said that art is an expressionist form, and even when she was young, I was very open to her listening to music that was not necessarily of her age rating, because I wanted her to understand that art is an expression, and within that, we're going to talk about things of what the world looks like, and maybe we don't need to be so fearful of particularly offensive words.
Yeah.
Maybe we're too easily offended these days.
Maybe we are. Anyway,
here's your poem. So
this poem is called Perfume Pick Me.
Okay, I'm going to be quiet.
Okay. I thought I wore niche perfume, but this suit on the train is my aroma twin. I think I was a bloodhound in a past life. If there's a weird whiff, I'll pinpoint it in time. Newborn puppies are unchanged pads. Brewery malt is barbecue hula hoops. Jasmine is sex for us, but poo for you. The nose is a cabinet, and molecules in the air are filled into the grey matter. My lockdown mist makes me well up still. A spritz of liquid rose before alone time feels divinely feminine in the moment, but now I'm thinking of my ex-romp switch on the crammed central line. Thanks, aroma twin. I wonder if AT smells roses and thinks of sitting at a work desk. Aroma twin made a poem when they left the door. Isn't it nice knowing that maybe you are a poem today too? You fucking piece of art, you.
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
Wonderful. That just says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was terrifying. I've never read one of my poems before.
Again, we're going back to that place of vulnerability, aren't we? Thank you for being vulnerable.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for...
I hope you feel like this is a safe space to share that. That was
absolutely.
And how else do we put it out into the world?
Art or creativity?
Yeah, creativity. If we're not vulnerable,
if we're not, then
it stays on your phone and disappears.
Yeah, I mean,
into
I
the
did
ether.
actually post that one on my Instagram story, but people can flick past it. But I started doing poetry when I was feeling sad, and when I felt like I had words that were complex and giving me an existential crisis, and I just needed to like put them down on paper. So it's an outlet. It's our art is just letting go, and creativity and being vulnerable. I think it's so important. It's so important.
So it's important for you, but it's also important for the person that's listening or reading as well.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure there's one other person that will will connect to that.
Well, yeah, it's like when I came here this morning, I was doing my ladder thoughts.
Okay.
And I was like, there might be one person that will listen to this and find value in something that I say.
Yeah.
And that I can believe that.
Yeah. And even if that person is me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Doesn't, like, I think we get too caught up in especially with the way social media is, like, how many views am I getting? How many likes am I getting? But there might just be one person out there that's quiet that goes with one moment, oh, actually, that can help me.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of art, if you boil down, is to create opinions. Like, what's not the purpose of it? It's for us to enjoy. But art does its job when it gets you thinking and when it gets you talking. And, you know, the whole point is that some people are not going to like that, and that's okay. And it's coming and accepting that. It's like, I may pour my energy into this thing, but not everyone is going to like it. It's like, if you take a peach might be the most lovely fruit on the earth to somebody, but somebody out there hates peaches. And it's the same with everything else in this world. Everything that you can touch, everything that you can see, everything that you can hear, everything you can smell. Someone probably hates it somewhere.
Definitely. So what's next for you then?
We
know about the improv. So where else are you going? Where's Boo Miller going next?
I'm really focusing on the comedy stuff because I enjoy it so much, and it's mostly what occupies my CV. But I do dramatic acting and can do it. But like you say, I'm just kind of going down that route because I know I enjoy it so much, and I know I get cast in those kind of things. So I had my headshots redone on Tuesday, which is exciting. God, just waiting for those to come back.
That's always a fresh start, isn't it, when you get new headshots?
Yeah, it's lovely. And then I've got something exciting coming out in May. I can't say what it is yet, but I can't wait to share that. And I'm hoping that having that credit on my CV and my new headshots will, lead to something.
Give you a boost.
Yeah. And everything is so last minute after COVID, where I just feel like you used to have a lot more length in the audition process. But now you can hear about an audition the day before it's due, and then you can hear about a job the day before. So whenever there's not like job or auditions in the pipeline, I'm like, I have this thing where I know, I'm not going to swear, but it's big effing action. I swore earlier anyway. So, and you've got to take control of what you can take control of. So I know that I can go home and I can do my admin for my acting. And I've really come to love and enjoy the business side and the admin side of my career. And I feel like it's so important because it makes me feel like I have agency. And I can know that I can go home and do something that will benefit my acting career, even if it's not going to an audition or filming a self-tape. Or because, when you're making goals at the beginning of the year, if you make a goal like, I want to be booked on, as a series regular on this show, it's so out of your control. And you've got to take control of the things that you can take control of. So it's like, I have spreadsheets for everything. I have spreadsheets for what casting directors I've seen, when I last saw them, whether I got a recall, and then in 6 months' time or whenever that thing might have come out, I'll go back and I'll look at who got cast in the end. And then I know, okay, was I close or were they just completely looking for something else?
So you're being very strategic about
this. I'm very strategic and very analytical, but I've always been quite... In school, I was really into academics and I did quite well in school. So I feel like I have a naturally intellectual leaning brain anyway. So using those skills that I have feels very beneficial to me anyway, because I can angle what I'm doing and just feel like I have my handles on it somehow.
So, some control. And that was one of the things that I pursued acting for 15, 20 years as very much like, I'm doing this, 100% I'm doing this. But that was the biggest frustration for me, is that not having control and waiting for someone else to say yes. Yeah. Giving my life to people I don't know and not connected to, and waiting for them to accept me in.
Yeah.
And that for me, after 20 years, was kind of too much. It was like, no, I've got to do something different now. I've got to kind of reinvent myself in a new way. And How do you feel about that? About being open to that, waiting for someone to say yes?
I feel kind of peace with it, and I didn't 5 years ago. And I feel like that peace comes from knowing that I can go and create something with my partner, or we're really interested in doing a new concept this year. And I've never made anything with my partner before. He works behind camera.
Okay.
But we have this kind of, bumped the microphone. We have this thing where he does his job, I do my job, and it's nice because we're in the same industry. But
so you've got
we
a
know
connection,
what to talk
but separate.
about, but we're not on top of each other about it. And I remember we did like our A-level final piece together, and we just didn't work together very well. We're not like this power couple that works together all the time, because we don't necessarily work in that way. But this year I really want to try and do a Shakespeare monologue with him. Film it, copyright. We want to do the Taming of the Shrew monologue at the end with Kate, and I want to do it on a pole because I pole dance as well. And the monologue is all about feminism and bowing to your husband, and Kate goes through the play, and she's you kind of don't know whether she's submitting or not, or in the end where it's all for show. And I just thought it'd be a really interesting, fun thing to do. So we're going to do that this year, and we're going to plan it.
Get those ideas out and create.
Get those ideas out, because if I'm waiting for all these people to say yes to me, and I'm not, taking control and doing my own thing, and honestly, it stems back to control. I just try and latch onto it wherever I can, because it's sparse in this industry.
It's interesting, because I wanted to, having someone been doing acting for a long time, I kind of wanted to give you advice, and what you've said you're going to do is exactly the advice I was going to give. Make sure that you're creating. Make sure that you are doing your own thing. Even if that is just doing a monologue on a camera and filming that. It's so important to create and do your art, and not
sure
wait.
Still love it.
Make sure you still love it, and don't wait.
Yeah.
There is going to be an element of that, of asking to be part of other people's things, but essentially you've got to carry on doing you for you. So I think that's a nice place to wrap this up.
It does. I don't know how long we've been doing this.
No, I don't either. It's been
Timeless.
really it's been really nice having you here, having this conversation. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much
jumping
for
in and
having
being
me.
part of it.
I was really nervous, but that was great.
No, there's nothing to be. Well, you were nervous. That's genuine, but it's just a conversation, isn't it? And I think you've had an incredible journey, and I see you going to some incredible places next. If you keep this mindset, keep doing what you're doing, and I think you'll go really far.
Oh, thank you, Martin.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I wonder if, looking as you look back on this, is there anything that you would like to say to your future self that has continued on the journey? You got any?
Don't stop. Well, not even that. It's just do what you're feeling in the moment. If you're feeling burnt out, have a break and just check in with yourself. I think that's it, really.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Lovely note to end it on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, that was so fun.
Wonderful. Thank you. That was the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. I appreciate you joining us for this conversation. If you'd like to find out more about the BTS Creative Academy, just search BTS Creative Academy. And so that you don't miss out on any future conversations, don't forget to like and subscribe.